Peace, family. This is Dr. Kia Pruitt. This is the 4th of July, 2020, and it is 10 o'clock p.m. Happy Independence Day. This particular Independence Day is special to me because we're not only celebrating the independence of us as a nation from 1776, but we are celebrating the liberation of the entire planet. Happy Independence Day. Happy 4th of July. You probably can hear fireworks going off in the background because people in this neighborhood are so excited. But thank God it doesn't sound like we're in the middle of World War IV like some places I've lived in. So I'm excited today, as I usually try to be all the time, because some breaking news came out. Y'all know I love me some breaking news. So I have two articles to share with you today. Today, on the 4th of July, President Donald Trump, number 45, clapped back on that behind. Yes, he did. He clapped back on Brnovich. Let me see who this Brnovich cat is. Trump sent a cease and desist letter to Attorney General Mark Brnovich. And why did he do that? He did it because Brnovich said there was no fraud at all that occurred at the polls. And we all know that there was, because they were caught in the act, right? With that documentary 2000 Mules. Of course, we already knew anyway. So number 45, who was also number 19, the 19th president of the republic, said, "You are to cease and desist. Do not use my name, my campaign, anything that represents me in anything that you're doing. In other words, keep my name out your bleepy bleep mouth." That's right. You want to know why I love number 45? Because he's a real man. Because he says what he means what he says. He doesn't only go on the defense, he goes on the offense. He lets you know how he feels out the gate. That's what a real man does. I love a masculine man. He said, keep my name, my likeness, anything that has to do with me out of your mouth. You are to cease and desist, because he had endorsed him before, but he withdrew his endorsement. According to the Washington Post, Brnovich was reportedly ordered to stop using his name, image, and or likeness in campaigns or fundraising. Trump and he had a fallout during the 2020 time at the polls when Attorney General Brnovich said that there was no evidence. The Arizona was ground zero for what happened with the irregularities of the you-know-what that occurred in November. So I think that's exciting. And the reason why I want to bring that out is because when I first came out in support of number 45, I had a lot of male supporters that were angry with me. Now, they had supported me for talking about the divine feminine. They supported me for talking about family values. They supported me talking about marriage and love and peace and joy. But when I started talking about number 45 and how I supported a masculine man speaking up for we the people, some of them called me white supremacist. They called me Uncle Tom. They just said all kind of disparaging things, but I was relentless. I love a masculine man, honey. You're not going to shut my mouth about a man that says what he means unapologetically. And that's not it. Here's another article. This man is on a roll. He fired back at despicable, that's what he called her, Liz Cheney, after she suggested that the January 6 charges be bestowed upon number 45. She said he should be charged for what happened on January the 6th. Now, I know people say that was an insurrection and people were upset. Listen, I didn't really pay that much attention to what happened on January 6th because I happen to think differently than most people. I feel like if you have a government that's not doing what you're supposed to do at the Capitol, in the White House, wherever they are, and you don't like it, you go in and you take over. That's just how Dr. Kia Pruitt feels, because that's the people's house. And if I don't like what you're doing over there, I'm going to go over there and take it back. But to charge number 45 for that is not right. Now, I've actually heard two sides. I heard that it was actually the left that was there that was causing mayhem, but I also heard that the guy who had on the buffalo headgear, that he actually was a Buffalo Soldier that was representing the benevolent faction of the government. He was representing the Moors and the Republic. He was representing the true government, and that's why he went in there and set his flag in front of the flag of the United States Corporation. Now, I don't know how people would feel about that, but I think that a man who can go in the house and say, this is our government and we're staking our claim and we're setting a totem pole or a flag or whatever in this stead, in this place, I'm taking my territory back. Now, more information about that is going to come out about the lawful government or the republic being restored and how the people behind the scenes are taking their country back. Because as I said before, the Moors are behind, the Moor dynasty is behind NESARA. The Moor dynasty is behind the republic being restored. Okay, but some people ain't ready to hear that. So I digress. Trump fired back at Cheney and he called her despicable. It's clear that there is no love lost between the two, this article says. Representative Liz Cheney out of Wyoming and former Republican president, they call him former. We know he's still the president. He's number 45 of the United States of America Corporation or number 19 of the Republic. There's no love lost between the two of them. Last week, Cheney called him a dangerous and irrational man, adding, at this moment, we're confronting a domestic threat that we've never faced before, and that is a former president who is attempting to unravel the foundations of our constitutional republic. Lady, sit down. You don't know what the constitutional republic is because you are a part of the deep state, the Constitution of the United States of America Corporation. So sit down and be quiet. But today, the president fired back. He took to his social media, his growing media platform called Truth Social, and he called her a despicable human being. She made her comments during an address at the Reagan Presidential Foundation and Institute on Sunday, and he clapped back on that behind on July the 4th, 2022 today. So I think this is really exciting that those articles came out on today on the 4th of July. Because another thing that happened on the 4th of July, you know how Freemasons and people in power like to do things based on numerology. Now let's pause here by saying all Freemasons are not bad. I don't know where we get that idea from, but Freemasons just understand secret science or sacred science, and they operate in silently, covertly, but they utilize numerology and codes. So today on July 4th, the charter for the feds expired. So the feds had a charter to print money, and that actually expired on 2012 during the Mayan calendar, where Mayan calendar said 2012 was actually the end of the year. So their charter expired then, and then they were granted a 10-year extension, which expired today. So all the printing of the money is to cease and desist as of today. Do you all know what that means? No more printing money. No more. It reminds me of a tweet that number 45 put out on December the 24th, 2019. No, I'm sorry. It was December 24th, 2020, I think. He said, I just signed a no counterfeiting money act. Merry Christmas. So I knew then that the printing presses were about to stop and possibly had actually stopped then. But we heard some rumors that they were still printing money, with quantitative easing, Q3, Q4, especially after the global, P word, pandemic. They kept printing money allegedly, but they have to cease and desist as of today. So this is exciting news, family. We are entering in a new era. And I find it really encouraging that countries are returning to the gold standard because, as I reported before, 209 countries have agreed to returning to the gold standard. And we all we all agreed, all 209 countries also agreed to have our republics restored, our real government, our legitimate government restored. So you're going to see a lot of congressmen gone. When we have the emergency broadcast system announcement, they're going to tell us about the war that's been going on behind the scenes. They're going to tell us about how NESARA funds are coming in to liberate humanity, how we're going to have a global jubilee and debt jubilee where all debts will be erased. They're going to tell us about how gold is going to be returned to humanity as the standard for using currencies, or it will be considered money, because the Constitution for the United States of America actually defines the dollar as a fixed weight of silver. And the House Resolution 5404 was put forth under number 45's administration when he was in front of the people, because it is really still his administration, even though it looks like somebody else usurped it. House Resolution 5404 defined a dollar as a fixed weight of gold. So that means we're going to have gold and silver to be used as money. And also, you know that many states, like 12 to 16 states, the last time I checked, it was 16 states, have actually legalized silver and gold being used as money here in the States. Additionally, we know the BRICS nation rejected all 5 of them. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa rejected the United States dollar, and they are moving to a basket of currencies which will be backed by gold. And that leads me to the newest information we heard about who's returning to the gold standard. Because it's not just the BRICS nations, it's not just Zimbabwe, it's not just the nations that we heard of before. Iraq may be joining the BRICS nations. And if they do, then you know that they are returning to the gold standard. Because what we do know is that Iraq has been increasing their gold reserves. So that is encouraging news. Now, the World Gold Council reported that Arab nations have been amassing gold, and they actually listed all of the countries in the Arab nations that have gold and gold standings. So they've increased their gold standing, and I think Saudi Arabia was number 1. The second nation there that has the most amount of gold is Lebanon. I don't recall number 3, but number 4 now is Iraq. Whereas before, Iraq was number 6, ranked number 6 as the wealthiest nation in that region, but now it is number 4. So my question is, do you think Iraq is returning to the gold standard based on the evidence that they've increased their gold reserves, based on the evidence that they went from 6th ranking to the number 4th wealthiest country in the whole Arab region? Based on the fact that they are increasing their gold reserves, they changed their government, and things are looking good over there? So I don't know. You tell me. I just think that this is great. This is exciting news. If you hold Iraqi dinar, then you might want to make sure that you have it in a safe place, because as we discussed before, the president for the United States of America, Donald Trump, has said that we have $35 billion of Iraqi dinar right now in our accounts, because we made them pay us back for supporting them, for building up their railroad system, for building up their infrastructure, and for having our military over there. And he said not only does Iraq have to pay us back, but so does South Korea. And South Korea already paid us $500 million. So this is what they do. They make deals. We support you. We defend you. You gonna pay us some money. That's what I like about a boss man. Unapologetically, you gonna do this business right. So this is really interesting, because in 1991, the Kuwaiti dinar revalued, and those people who held onto it when their economy had been decimated and when they were war had destroyed their country and their currency, people went in and bought their currency while it was low. And during the war, their dinar went to 5 cents. So it took like $20 of theirs to buy one of our dollars when their country was decimated. And this is what the United States used to do. We were a war country. Well, the corporation that overtook our country were warriors, and they just decimated people who didn't do whatever they say. So they went into Kuwait, decimated, and they would do this to other nations like Vietnam, and they would destroy the whole country and the infrastructure, and the congressmen, the wealthy people, the presidents, and high military officials would buy it, the currency, when it was low and decimated, and hold it. And then after the war, when the country would be rebuilt, then they would go and the currency was revalued, they would exchange the currency and become wealthy overnight. So the country's currency was high, and then it dropped down once it was decimated to 5 cents on our dollar, and then it revalued up to like $3.47 overnight, like March 25th, 1991. Overnight it increased like that, and that they became the richest, most wealthy country on the planet. So if you are holding those foreign currencies like the dinar, like the zim, like the Vietnamese dong, like the Venezuelan bolivares, then you know what the deep state and elite, so-called elite people, knew beforehand. So it was a secret to us ordinary people. Now, I do have a friend who's in the military, who actually learned from his brother, who was high up in the military, about this revaluation. He became wealthy overnight when the Kuwaiti dinar revalued. So before, only they had that information, but now the Galactic Federation has allowed the news to come out for us, so that we can use this money and become wealthy to help build the infrastructure of all different countries. And we can create humanitarian projects when NESARA is announced. So I think that's it. It looks like I covered all my bases. I'm excited today, and I want to encourage you to stay high in your vibrations, to love each other, to look for emergency broadcast system announcements coming, because we know that they have been testing, to also look forward to the republic being restored, which we know it already has, to look for wealth being released on the planet. And if you have humanitarian projects in mind, write them down and get ready to take care of each other. I love you. Stay encouraged. And remember, where we go one, we go all, because we're all in this together. Peace. Happy Independence Day. Good night.